Welcome back, once again adventurers, to Let's Play Steins 0. In the last episode, Rintaro Okabe had a rather awkward conversation with Maho Hiajo at the post-reception dinner following the debut of the Artificial Intelligence, the prize of the Victor Condria University, Amadeus. The only common ground between Rintaro and Maho happens to be the topic of the late Kurisu Makise. And something tells me that Maho is somewhat elated, though distraught, at finally meeting somebody who might know Kurisu a little bit differently than she does. Of course, our little tete-a-tete was interrupted by the good Professor Leskinin, who is here. And speaking of Amadeus, it seems that Leskinin wants Rintaro to be a tester, of all things. Well, we know next to nothing about neuroscience or artificial intelligence. But we are, well, technically an acquaintance of Kurisu, as far as the Alpha worldline is concerned. But Kurisu has been dead for several months now. And Maho seems to have her reservations. And looking back at the time of the phone, the 23rd of November, we, as I seem to recall, we never made it this far in the original Steins Gate. We only made it as far as August, not November, which is at least 3 months ahead of August. But just a little food for thought. Would not that we want to test this or anything, and here I'm being a complete tsundere myself, go me, but is it entirely possible that the whole concept of artificial intelligence happens on the other world lines as well? Or does Amadeus converge only on this specific beta world line? It's certainly an interesting hypothesis to consider. What were they talking about, by the way? I had no idea, but this was my chance to build a relationship with Dr. Leskinin. I'm suddenly tongue-tying myself. Yeah, Rintaro is trying to improve his academic standing among the who's who of the scientific community, and I didn't want to blow my chance.
Nice!
Well, it looks like we're volunteering, and I think Kurisu would agree with you there. He pats me on the shoulders and smiled. Okay, now that's a little too creepy. It was an innocent smile, like a child's. So you want us to ask Maho for any specifics on Amadeus? Another scientist was calling him, so he wandered away, leaving Maho and Rintaro in a little bit of shock. Maho was shaking her head in disbelief.
Amadeus に合わせるとか、テスターとか、一体何の話なんだ?
I think we're about to find out, Rintaro.
コンベンションでやったデモンストレーション。アマデウスは私の記憶を使っていたんだけれど。
Indeed, as demonstrated, that was the recreation of Maho Hiajo.
アマデウスのデータとして、もう一人分研究者の記憶が保存してあるのよ。
Another researcher's memories. Leskinin's? It would certainly be surprising if that were the case. What does that mean? Another researcher's memories. When I finally figured it out from Dr. Leskinin and Maho's conversation, my heart started pounding. There's only one person it could be. The very person whose theory gave rise to Amadeus in the first place.
まさか
Oh, but she does. It's someone we know
あい
very
つ
well.
なのか
Indeed. Kurisu Makise. Even in death, this world line apparently converges on Kurisu Makise.
アマデウスの中にはマキセ・クリスの記憶が保存されているわ。8ヶ月前のクリスだけれどね。
8 months old, eh? Let's see, it's the 11th now, so taking 8 months off, that would be in May, the 5th month of the year. That will be before, that will actually be before we met her in July. 2 months before, in fact. Several days have passed after the ATF party. 10 minutes from Ukeburo. I still have trouble pronouncing Ikeburuko. Bukuro, sorry. Via the express train. And then 10 minutes by bus from a station called Wako City in Saitama. The office I was looking for was on the 2nd floor of a building right next to Riken. Global Brain Science Comprehensive Research Organization, Japanese office, prep room. This actually looks like a very nice little research area. That was what the plate on the door said. To get in, you needed 3 types of special keys plus a security
ここ
card.
は
It's definitely more sophisticated than the Future Gadget Laboratory. I'll admit that much.
各国の脳科学研究者が連携をして新しい機構を作る予定なの。私たちの研究所が主導してね。
So your lab is currently spearheading the way for neuroscientists all over the globe. She led me inside. The office must have been newly rented. Most of the desks were still empty, showing no signs of ever having been used, or maybe they were used but they're so incredibly clean. And we have a message. It's from Ferris of all people. The mysterious Suketos have at last arrived in Akihabara. We could send any one of these emojis, but I don't know what they mean. What did they mean? That was probably a bad choice, but we'll go with the bois. You haven't heard of the ancient urban legends of Akihabara now? I know a few of them, but the Suketos are new to me. If a group of 3 people sits in the back of a certain maid cafe, they appear. Or so they say, cat face emoji, or something like that. And there's an emoji of Ferris with her home cooking. Danger, danger, danger. No one ever knew which maid cafe it was. Until now, nya. It's May Queen, nya. Danger, danger. Is everything okay? Everything's fine, yeah. They just joined your game in the middle of a raid and kill, steal all the mobs, yeah. Hang on a second. Danger. Of course, Ferris doesn't really not realize the fact that Rintaro Okabe has stopped being Hoin Kyoma for several months now. But we don't have time to deal with her stories. There wasn't even a whiteboard, which made the room look even more empty. There wasn't a lot of natural light either. Maybe the windows were on the north side. The only illumination was from the overhead fluorescent lights. The room felt very cold.
ここはあくまでも準備室だから。
No, it's just a prep room, it's not the actual laboratory itself. No one was sitting at any of the desks, but two of them had stuff on them. One of them was a mess, filled with notes, calculators, and coffee cups. Supplement bottles. That was Maho's desk. Which meant that the one that was neatly organized must belong to Dr. Leskinin, right?
教授は
I always want to call him Dr. Nescafe, because that would actually sound better, but we can't do that. Anyway, where is
今日はオ
he?
フ。
He must have quite a bit of free time. Of course, it is Sunday.
君も
ええ。そうじゃなかったら昼過ぎまで寝ていられるわけないでしょ。
So normally you spend your nights burning the midnight oil. That's true. When I'd gone to pick her up from her hotel in Waco City, she'd come out of her room half asleep. This was the day that I was to meet Amadeus Kurisu. That name. That brings back so many memories of Kurisu Makise. Maho had gone over the basics of being a tester on the way here. Essentially, Amadeus needed sample data for conversations, and they were going to give me an environment where I could talk to it at any time, 24 hours a day. And if Amadeus Kurisu is anything like the Amadeus at the demonstration, she too is a, well, she/it is going to be a sentient, self-organizing artificial intelligence. She didn't give me any details beyond that though. So I'll be able to talk to Amadeus Kurisu 24 hours a day, huh? So this is basically the Amadeus
あい
experiment.
つはクリスのアマデウスはここにいるのか
ええ。
So Amadeus Kurisu is stored on site. Maho nodded and gave me a
あい
glance.
つと呼んだわよね、今。
Yeah, this I can already see there's going to be a problem. I tried to correct myself by saying it, but I too said she first.
ああ
Because as far as we are aware, most artificial intelligences don't technically have genders, because after all they're nothing really more than artificial consciousnesses given and their physical representations are nothing more than digital pinpoints on a screen.
私が思っているよりもずっと親しかったのね、あなたたち。
No point in lying to this one. She's quite perceptive. Maybe my silence was an answer in itself. Maho's response was uncharacteristically hesitant, and we have another mail. Ah, it's from Ruka Rushibara. Okabe, may I have a moment of your time? We could go not today. I'm meeting someone right now. Is it important? We'll send this one. We don't ever want to turn away a fellow lab member. And Ruko says no, it's not that important. Can I wait then? We're currently in the middle of a meeting at this point. We should probably have let him know right off the bat. Alright, I'll contact you later. Sorry. No, please don't worry about it. And happy happy Mayushi emoji thing. Rukuko still has, still seems to be somewhat, sort of, having trouble dealing with, Rintaro.
だとしたら会うのはやめた方がいいかもしれないわよ。
That's probably might be for the best, although we don't really want to disappoint Professor Leskinin. But we'll have to brace ourselves if we do, because meeting Kurisu again could trigger the flashback of her death at the hands of Rintaro Okabe, and that could cause his disorder to basically bend him completely out of shape.
どうしてだ?
To the point where even medicine probably won't help him.
相手が親しい人であればあるほどあのシステムは残酷だと思うから。
And unfortunately in the Alpha worldline, Rintaro and Kurisu were especially close to each other. I think I can understand what Maho is trying to say. Even though Amadeus Kurisu is a representation of Kurisu Makise, it's still part of the Amadeus System, hence an artificial
大丈夫
intelligence.
だ.
If you say so, Rintaro, Maho doesn't seem too sure.
わかった。もう言わない。その代わり一つ覚えておいて。ロードする記憶はクリスが最後に更新をした3月のデータをベースにしたものよ。
Oh, sorry, March. 8 months ago. 8 months is March. 8 plus 3 is 11. I can't do. I can't count backwards. But yeah. So it was March. So that would be 4 months since. But prior to her unfortunate death in the radio building.
だから3月以降、例えば彼女が日本に留学していた時のことを聞いても全く通じない。
After our constant experiments with time leaps and time travel, we certainly remember how that feels. That's right, isn't it?
それに3月から今日までの間に私や教授が何度も起動してしまっているから。
So they've been experimenting with Amadeus Kurisu for all of these 8 months.
その度にクリスは、アマデウスの方のクリスね。彼女は元のクリスとは違う記憶を蓄積しているわ。
Of course. Even with Kurisu's memories, if the AI starts developing new experiences and new existential possibilities, those possibilities will be completely unpredictable.
私たちが聞かせた話、ネットで検索した情報、新しく会話を交わした人たち、そういったものをね。
So basically think of her as yet another alternative Kurisu.
つまりこれから会うのはあなたの友人だったマキセ・クリスではないということ。このシステムの問題点の一つなんだけれど、往々にしてこちら側、つまり人間の方が混乱してしまうのよ。
Well, given the fact that the actual Kurisu Makise on this worldline was technically a complete stranger to us, since we only really collaborated with the Alpha worldline Kurisu, we should be
ま
okay.
るで
Then again,
本当のクリスと
I'm not holding my
今
breath.
この瞬間にチャットでもしているような錯覚に陥るから。
Well, since we're basically talking to Kurisu's memories, that's almost but not quite the same thing. So don't get reality and fantasy mixed up, I guess.
共有できていない記憶の齟齬に関してこちらの脳がついていけなくなってしまうのね。
Memories that aren't shared. Now there's a feeling I knew very well. Reading Steiner. That double-edged sword, the blessing and a curse, that allowed Rintaro Okabe to retain memories from other world lines. It was a power only I possessed, which made my memories different to those of the people around me.
案内してくれ。
But Rintaro is insistent. Maho gave me a slight
こっ
nod.
ちよ。
She led me to the back of the room. There was a booth, separated by a thick partition. To get inside the booth, you needed a different card key than the one you used to get into the room, as well as a security
ずいぶん
code.
厳重なんだな。
Can't be too careful these
今の
days.
時代産業スパイが一番恐ろしいの。
Ah, the cutthroat world of industrial espionage. She entered the security code and unlocked the door.
どうぞ。
So off we go, on our way to meet Amadeus Kurisu, I guess. The room was about 2.5 meters per side. At one end was a white desk, and above it was a PC with a built-in 30-inch screen monitor.
少しだけ後ろに座っていて。
There was a small sofa that let you sit behind the user and see what was happening on the screen. I sat there, and I saw there was a camera on top of the PC. Maho powered on the PC and began to type, and there's a long list of binary code flowing across the screen. A second later, the words Amadeus System appeared on the screen. I have to say, I really love the look of the Amadeus logo right here. That is a beautiful logo. I saw it put the ID in. Of course, the password would be in asterisks, just for security's sake. But the user ID for some reason is Salieri. That's an Italian name, isn't it? I suppose we're going to find out who Salieri is. Antonio Salieri, born 1750, died 1825. An Italian composer who lived in the same time as Mozart. He was court composer at Vienna for many years and trained under such famous composers as Beethoven, Schubert, and Liszt. Salieri and Amadeus, and we shall finally actually see the meaning behind the name Amadeus. Amadeus is Latin for beloved of God, and is the middle name of the Austrian composer Mozart, whose full name is Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. There is also a play and movie about Mozart of the same name, Amadeus. So apparently Maho has an interest in musical composers. Was there some meaning to that? Come to think of it, in the famous movie Amadeus, there was a character who was spiteful and jealous of Mozart's incredible talents, but who in the bottom of his heart admired him more than anyone else. And speaking of Mozart, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, born 1765, died 1791. An Austrian composer. Along with Haydn and Beethoven, he is one of the most famous classical composers. He began to write songs at the age of 5 and left us over 600 masterpieces. In the modern era, he is often referred to as a genius, and there are many stories about him. I've heard many of Mozart's musical accomplishments. That character's name was
パス
Salieri.
ワードは見ないで。
Maho moved her body to hide her hands. I looked away, and she finished logging into the system, and a simple bare command prompt appeared on the screen.
準備はいい?
Once we do this, Rintaro, there will be no going back.
ああ、頼む。
Let us cross the Rubicon once more. Maho entered several commands at the prompt.
ごめんなさい。ここはちょっと見せられないの。
まあ、
never mind.
俺が見たところでさっぱりだけどな。
It's just a bunch of numbers and things.
でも、
It's probably
一応ね。
won't pay no mind. Security reasons, I guess. She turned off the monitor. Then she spun around to face me. I suddenly realized I was clenching my fists. How long had I been doing that? My hands were sweaty and there was a red spot at the base of my thumb where my nails had dug in. Was I more nervous than I realized? Even now, Rintaro is still having doubts.
いや、今になってちょっとおじけづいてきた。
Indeed, seeing an artificial version of Kurisu Makise
まだ間に合うわ
is
よ。
certainly going to be more than a little
今すぐここか
intimidating.
ら出ていけばいいわ。
But we've already come this far.
意地が悪いな。
There's no turning back.
そう？あなたのこと心配してあげてるのに。
だったらもう少しそれらしい言い方をした方がいい。クリスといい君といい実験大好きっ子は。
I think that's the pot calling the kettle black, Rintaro. For the second, the old joking me was about to come back. I quickly changed the subject.
実験ばかりに明け暮れているやつは可愛げがない。
Indeed, we would certainly know better than anyone.
今の発言は明らかに誹謗中傷ね。侮辱罪で訴えてあげてもいいわ。
やめてくれ、恐
We
ろしい。
don't want to get sued.
いい弁護士を知っているから紹介してあげましょうか。
I feel that you're enjoying this at my expense.
その前に告訴を取り下げてくれ。
示談に持ち込もうというのなら、それ相応の金額は覚悟することね。
We can barely afford to pay Mr. Braun's rent, much less pay a settlement.
後で毒ペンをおごるから。
Ah, Dr. P. Good old Dr. Pepper. The abbreviation for a type of carbonated beverage first served in America in the 1800s. At present, it's only available in eastern Japan and some other small areas. It has a very unique taste, and its secret recipe is a combination of over 20 flavors.
安い。
Yeah, that's us. Rintaro Okabe, Mr. Cheap. I heard a small sound from the back of her throat. I guess she was laughing. Normally I'd find that irritating, but strangely, coming from the girl in front of me, no, she's a grown woman actually, I didn't. Maho Hiajo was very strong-willed, with the prickliness and short temper unique to scientists. She always seemed to be a little upset about something. But maybe she wasn't that bad of a person. Oh, I see. She, Maho, she's a lot like Kurisu. Indeed, they are very similar. Though I think that with Maho being a few years older than Kurisu, I think it's safe to say that she has seniority over Kurisu back when they were working together, although it seems that some of Kurisu's personality is rubbed off on her mentor. When I first met Kurisu, she was like that. Arrogant, rude, never willing to change her mind, stubborn, hard-headed, and always ready to confront you with raised eyebrows whenever you said something she didn't like. I truly thought I'd never seen a more unlikable woman. But despite my first impression, on the inside she's turned out to be so fragile, easily hurt and kind and so lovable.
何がおかしいんです、先輩。
What the? I suddenly heard a girl's voice from the speaker. I know that voice. And so does Rintaro. I found myself jumping off the sofa. I knew this voice. I could never forget it. I could never... Maho turned on the monitor. Brace yourself, Rintaro. There she is. The girl I'd never forgotten on the screen. Maybe it was based off her appearance at the brain science lab, because she was wearing a white lab coat. The PC's camera turned to me on its own. That's rather disturbing.
先輩、そちらの方は。
Maho was introducing me, but I didn't hear anything she was saying. I simply stared, entranced. I wanted to reach out with my hands. I wanted to touch her. Unfortunately, we'd be touching a blank screen. She was right there.
岡部倫太郎さん。はじめまして、牧瀬クリスです。
And that is our first introduction to Amadeus Kurisu. And I think that this moment in time is a very good moment to end this episode of Let's Play Steins Gate 0. When we return, adventurers, we shall see if we still have the nerve to converse with Amadeus Kurisu, the digital representation of our former assistant and erstwhile friend, companion, Kurisu Makise, who has been dead for several months now. As always, adventurers, until next we meet.